so much. Great to be back. So yeah, 20 minutes to bring you up to speed with, I'd say, one of the hottest topics of the moment, which is artificial intelligence, and really talking about it in terms of young people, but also people who are perhaps further advanced in their career. So this is about people who need to be retrained to get themselves on the career track or to even change mid-career. So a little bit briefly about me. 30 years in consulting. I run Zudicas, but also AIinBusiness. That's my kind of day-to-day. Wrote that book. That was my attempt 3 or 4 years ago. It came out last year, but obviously it takes a year or so to do it. I'm 53, and at age 50, I realized I needed to really future-proof myself for the next decade or so. So the book's all about the impact of AI and machine learning on marketing and HR, but also sales and customer experience. Love to connect with you, so my Twitter handles, etc., are there if you'd like to kind of connect with me. So let's start briefly by thinking about, exactly what is this AI that we need to educate people about for tomorrow. We're really talking about augmented intelligence. Whether you're a doctor, a marketing professional, footballer, whatever you are, there is now big data that gives you insights about the tactics and strategies that you need to use in your job. And really what the machine learning and the AI are doing, all these different areas of computer science are giving you insights. They are really able to imitate intelligent human behavior. And if they haven't touched your world yet, they will be very, very soon. So it's about being prepared for the changes that are coming. You might see already through your Siri and your Cortana, even on Facebook, different elements of AI, from text recognition, which is like speech to text, to chatbots. Maybe you're interacting through the website or through some kind of bot, with the interactive AI. And then we've got others as well, like computer vision, which is in driverless cars and so on, so more visual-based AI. So these are all part of this family of technologies that we call artificial intelligence. It's been around for 70 years as a technology, but it's only really become viable in the last few years. We've got big data, we've got years of smartphone technology with great data, and we've got processing power. So now it's viable. But what we've seen for the last few years is all these different technologies on the innovation trigger. Then we've gone into this peak of paranoia where the media and others just haven't had access to the return on investment case studies. So they've turned to Hollywood, to all kinds of, HAL and Terminator. And so what's actually happened is we've had that peak of expectation. In my book, I report on quite a lot of examples, not just of success stories, but also failures. There's a bank, for example, where it didn't prepare its staff well enough, and its clients found the chatbot quite limited and quite gimmicky. So they fall into that bottom cycle here, that trough of disillusionment. And what we need to do, some of this is 5 to 10 years away, some of it's 2 to 5 years away, and some of it's here and now. We need to be preparing young people to understand the kind of jobs they're going to be doing. And as industry professionals, we need to be using some of these tools today to help us gain benefits. Down the left-hand side here, you've got the different industry sectors. Some of us are in these already. Young people will be coming into these jobs, and they need to understand how these jobs are going to change. So across the top, let's take telecoms, for example. How are they using AI? They're using it in their service operations. So a big tech company like BT knows that in a month or so it's going to get very cold here in the UK, especially in the north, and broadband lines might go down. They can look at historic patterns, they can look at weather predictions, and they can use AI to say, we're going to need 20,000 engineers in their vans to go out and do the repairs. And if we go down to one from the bottom with retail and go across, they're using AI in a different way, much more for their sales and marketing. And that's about personalization, not scary robots dehumanizing everything. But there's a chapter in my book on the paradox of personalization, where actually this big data, these insights, are about ultimately giving us personalized healthcare, personalized marketing, personalized sale. It's very, very powerful. That's the kind of future that we're looking at. In financial services, if you look at the bottom couple of words there, it's about smart bank accounts. It's fintech startups like this one here who've got a virtual assistant. They've called her Sophie, and she's liaising with the consumers. She's helping them reduce their credit card debt. She's helping with student loans. She's helping students and organizations and business people to make better decisions. So it's about our financial health. If we look at insurance, again, young people coming into the insurance sector today may well be working for a firm that's living in the past, but they could end up working for a company like Ageas, where using AI, they're helping people who've been in a car accident to submit a photograph via their smartphone, and within minutes, they're getting a decision about it. They're doing it through computer vision, through machine learning. It's looking at the photograph of that damaged car, and it's quickly estimating the repair costs. If we're a restaurant, COVID has been, hugely impactful in this hospitality sector, but this is a small Japanese restaurant, 95% accuracy, triple productivity, and actually a really important one for sustainability, reducing food loss. So they're using, like I've mentioned, weather patterns, predicting tourism data, everything joining up together, and they're able to basically predict the number of diners coming into the restaurant. So what we need to do as a country and internationally, we all need to collaborate and prepare tomorrow's leaders today. We can't leave it too long. And I'm going to share with you shortly the work that I've been doing on exactly that subject. This is from my book, and the book is a collection of case studies from all over the world. Major brands, tech disruptors, politicians, academics, and all of their insights have been pulled together into this one scorecard for success, which I devised. And you basically give yourself a score of 0 to 5 across 10 areas. You're looking at the mindset. Are we training the young people? Will they, as tomorrow's future leaders, have the right mindset? In business today, do leaders have the right mindset? Do they have the buy-in, number 2, from the board? Have they done a business case? They don't just jump on the bandwagon and decide, okay, I'm going to look at that machine learning project. They wait, they do a business case, they do number 4, experimentation. 5, they collaborate with other departments. They work with academia, for example, to get funds. Number 6, they have talent, they reskill, or they buy in that talent or buy in those tools. This is number 7, very, very important for their culture. Young people coming into the future workforce need to understand this should be a much flatter hierarchy. It should be rewarding innovation and successes, not years of experience. So it could be quite a good opportunity for young people to, take advantage of that. Innovation continuously. Number 9 is so important. It's about the wider impact of education, of transparency, of ethics, and all those major macro business issues that are so important when we're thinking about the world of AI on our businesses. And then finally, number 10, having that roadmap for success. So you score yourself a potential score of up to 50, below 20, you're traditional. In the middle there, you are transitioning, and then 35 upwards, you're much more transformational. So we need to get our young people into businesses that are, at the very least, transitioning and starting to consider how they can take advantage of all of these 4th generation technologies. So I know this isn't happening yet in a lot of schools, in most schools, certainly not in the UK. And young people are leaving school. Some are studying data science. They know how to code. They know about Python and TensorFlow and so on. But even those that are technical and are learning about data science, they're not necessarily learning about how it can be applied to businesses, which is where I specialize and do a lot of training and consulting and keynote speaking. But the young people studying finance, marketing, all different subjects need to understand it. And so I pulled this program together and it's called The Leaders of Tomorrow in Tech. And it's really about bringing in other organizations. So in this case, I brought in AWS, Alan Turing Institute, Microsoft, and we all gave up our time for free. And we delivered a 6-week program virtually to 2 initial pilot schools, showing them really how AI can be used. And it's those sorts of initiatives we need more of. We can't wait for the national curriculum to change. It won't happen overnight. And so we need more people to be doing that all over the country and obviously internationally as well. So there's a little bit of information there. I purposely chose schools that are not in London but in the regions. I'm in Kent, that are all ability schools. We had students who are deaf. They're not private schools, and they're not fee paying, and they're also not selective schools. They were all ability, what we used to call comprehensive schools. So this has been up and running. The winning students announced last week get to have this incredible mentoring, and it's just been fantastic. So I would urge more and more people to have those kinds of initiatives, because we know that AI is going to have a big impact on jobs. Women workers could well be more affected by automation over the next 10 years, but male jobs might actually be more at risk in the longer term. And on the right-hand side there, we can see financial services jobs being fairly vulnerable to automation in the short term, but in the longer term, other sectors like transport and so on will be impacted. But what I mentioned at the very beginning is that all sectors will be impacted. It depends what's the latest report you've read, whether there is a net gain. On the whole, I'm reading Deloitte and Gartner and Forrester, PwC and others, and it feels quite positive that there will ultimately be job losses, but a lot of job gains as well. But what's for sure is that all of our tasks will be changed. And that's what we need to prepare students for, is to understand that in the world of work, they're going to be doing different kinds of jobs, or jobs where there are different tasks with different tools. So let's demystify this. This is really the next layer of automation. This is not whole scale, completely eradicating the job of a marketeer like me, or an accountant, or even a doctor, a medical doctor. But all of us will use various tools to automate, in the same way that for the past decade, we have used software as a service tools that are now part and parcel of the kind of work that we do. So just really to reassure you, I absolutely see AI being used already, particularly in financial services and in retail. Not really at scale in any particular organizations, but it will be used more and more as people see the impact, which is cost reduction on the one hand and increase in revenue on the other. The increases in revenue are coming from improved sales, Adobe Einstein, the more personalized selling that you can do, which in turn effectively customers are going to want from us. So whatever subject young people are studying at school, university, college, there's got to be some elements of this involved. Or if they come out of school and college and uni without it, they need to go and do some courses. They need to top up on it. I'm not suggesting everyone needs to learn data science, but we all need to understand what AI is and how it's reshaping jobs. That really is my main message to everybody. A couple of last few slides before I let the other two chaps come in, and before we then have our Q&A. Ethics and other big issues like explainability and so on are so important. AI is available to all organizations and to all countries around the world. We know how difficult it could be when you have the Chinese, the Russians, the British, or even the English and the Scottish and others. We've all got different jurisdictions legally. And so it's really important that people come together. And I was very encouraged by this work here, announced back in June, an OECD-led initiative, which really is about human rights and protecting our freedoms and our shared democratic values. So there's a lot of countries involved in this. It's really important that we collaborate around some of these big issues of explainability, where you've got a GDPR clause about that. so somebody isn't denied an insurance for their car because they are a certain postcode or a certain demographic. Really, really important that a lot of these things are taken into account. So let me just finish. Always nice to give you a little present. So here's a discount if anyone wants it to my book. As I say, it's packed with lots of case studies and goes into a lot more of the detail of some of the subjects that I've just been discussing now. So I'm going to wrap up now and let Matt and Richard take you through their presentations. And then I will join them in about probably less than 40 minutes for a joint Q&A with them. So hope you found that helpful. And I look forward to seeing you in about 40 minutes time. Thank you very much.